Welcome to the Swing Trading with Cycles channel. We're going to do our update on natural gas today. It's April 10th, 2023. Welcome back. Pretty busy last week or so, so I haven't been able to post as much. But at the same time, not a whole lot has happened. This is your natural gas chart, Henry Hub futures, as we usually look at. This is your daily chart. And as we've been talking about, we had a big swing high on day 7. That's how you mitigate risk, folks. When you see a swing high, pay attention. There's a pinned comment. We've got their links, multiple playlists to different asset classes, but also background on the fundamentals. How to identify a swing high, how to identify a swing low, how to think about cycles, key price action concepts. So once we saw this swing high, we knew risk was elevated, but it also means that at some point we're going to get a bounce. At some point we're going to get a swing low similar to this swing low. Unfortunately, this swing low only led to a 7-day rally, similar to how this swing low only led to a 5-day rally. At some point we're going to get a rally, right? Now, it looked like we had that on day 24 here. Now, that has obviously failed. You can see price bounced just a little bit, and then we've just chopped around for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And technically, we're still chopping around. We made a new low on Thursday, because we didn't trade Friday. It was Good Friday. And that was a new low at 1.992, the previous low being 1.998. And so today we've made a higher high above that candle that made the low, but we've now pulled back a little bit. We'll look at lower time frames. We'll also look at BOIL and UNG, of course. But this is actually more typical of natural gas. You can see this cycle was 30 days. This was 33 days. You usually get around a 30-day cycle. So this would have been early for a cycle low on day 24. This is much more appropriate. Doesn't mean it's going to lead to a huge rally, but that's why you want to always be clear with your levels, right? If you took this trade, well, your stop is pretty clear, right? You know what the swing low is. And again, if you did take this trade, it was a little bit frustrating because we just kind of chopped around, for more than a week after that. So we're going to have to watch the next couple of days to see if this bounce holds. But what about the higher time frames? What are those telling us? So let's look at the weekly chart. And so that consolidation on the weekly chart looks like this, where last week was an inside week, and now we're trying to make a higher high. And so the key level that you want to watch for on the weekly chart is getting above 2.197. That would give us a higher high on the weekly chart and essentially make this it would make this a higher low than this, because this is a low at 1.967. Actually, that's not true, right? Because this actually already made a lower low than this. But what this could essentially set up is something like a double bottom. I will remind, even though we may get a bounce here, this is probably not the best risk reward trade, as I said in the previous videos. You can watch my other videos for that. Precious metals is in a long-term cycle advance. We made a long-term cycle low in September. That's a perfect example. Crypto, also in long-term cycle advance. Stocks are looking, just general stocks, general equities are looking pretty good. It's obviously CPI week, so this could be your turning point. But just to be clear, this is not the trade I would focus on myself personally. There's tons of others to choose from. As I said, semiconductor is another great example. But as we think about the weekly chart, this was a swing low that looked like it was going to lead to a little weekly rally, which is now pulled all the way back, just broke down below this. The bullish case here, though, if you think about, you can always want to think about the bullish case and the bearish case, is that this could become a false breakdown of this level here and lead to a pretty furious move up. And obviously the bear case is this is your little tap, and this is creating a lower high. Because we're getting closer to the daily cycle low, the odds favor that we do get a little bit more upside, and that will develop on this weekly chart. And you can also notice that this 10-day moving average, this line here, we're probably going to cross above it the 10-week moving average, we're probably going to cross above it at some point as well. What does the 2-week chart look like? So this 2-week chart just opened today, and we're green so far. It's obviously just one day of trading. It's Monday. And so this is going to be a significant pattern as well, because it gives you a bit of a preview of what the monthly candle might end up looking like for April. And let's jump to that. What does the monthly candle look like so far? And we'll also talk about seasonality, because again, April is the winningest month for UNG as a proxy for natural gas. We're going to see if that actually comes to pass. Okay, so speaking of the monthly chart, you can see we are actually green. It's just an inside month. It is at the lower end of the range, but obviously a lot of month left to trade. As we talked about, April tends to be the most positive month for UNG, like percentage wise, and it's still early. We've only had 1 week of trading, but so far this is looking relatively promising. And the big level, like if one wanted to get really bullish, honestly, we need to get above 3.027. That's the high from last month, right? You need to see the candle do something like you just fill out like all the way up there, right? That's what you need to see to have any kind of long-term bottom. Otherwise, this is just a short-term trade. Maybe there a good risk reward sets up on lower time frames, sort of thing. So so that's natural gas itself. Let's look at UNG and we'll look at BOIL as well. We'll start with the monthly chart for these guys. So this is UNG, and you can see we made a lower low this month, unlike natural gas that didn't. That's not super significant. The important thing is that level, that ultra bull level, is 9.99. Nice ring to it, just about $10. That's what this thing would need to do to make a long-term bottom. That doesn't mean we're going to get there, or it should be set as a price target by any means, but it's something to be aware of, to that as a potential upside resistance. That's the monthly chart, and again, you can see that this is green as well. How are we looking on the weekly? So the weekly is actually red so far because we're pulling back intraday here, but it's very clear that we need to get above 694. Above 694 makes last week a swing low, so a weekly swing low. That's what we need. So we talked about a monthly swing low. Well, you literally can't have a monthly swing low until you have a weekly swing low first. So that would be step one. So that's 694 on the weekly. And on this daily chart, again, this is all the same kind of concept. We need to stay above 677 to remain a swing low. So far, we have one on the board. But I mean, look at this daily candle. Big pullback on lower time frames. We know that because of this upper wick. Let's zoom down there. Let's zoom down to like the 1 hour chart. And so you can see we had like a gap up opening. Wait, is that a gap? Let's just confirm. Yeah, that's right. That is a little gap, not a huge gap. Well, especially especially relative to where we closed. Like we closed all the way down here and then we opened all the way up here. That definitely will catch people off guard. So that's your hourly chart, and you can see just a lot of wick here, a lot of back and forth trading, kind of ugly. And then we have this big move up. Keep in mind that it's so important to understand how candles transform as they're in the process of closing. This used to be a big green candle at one point, and then and this is the hourly chart, and then it pulled back massively, and then we made a lower low, and so not to belabor the point, but that is a swing high on the hourly chart. So we now have a swing high. So on a daily chart, we currently have a daily swing low in place. It is precarious to be sure, but on the lower time frames, we have a swing high in place. So this swing high is threatening to break this swing low that we have in place. And you can see, again, this candle used to be green, and then we had a big reversal. Let's zoom down to like the 5-minute chart. We'll be able to see the reversal in real time. So that's a reversal. Boom, right there. So you made this little high here, and then once you cross below the low of that candle, this is your 5-minute swing low. That's how it works. You have a swing low on lower time. Swing high. You have a pattern that develops on a lower time frame. If there's follow through, it cascades to the higher time frames, and if there continues to be follow through, you get an hourly pattern becomes a daily pattern, becomes a weekly pattern, becomes a monthly, etc. Let's look at BOIL. Let's look at that same. You're going to see an identical situation, right? It's like exactly the same chart, obviously different like price levels. So not looking great near term. Let's look at what the daily candle looks like. How's that shaping? So again, we have a red shooter. We really do need to stay above $3.42 because that's what would give us a daily swing low and gives us a chance that this is our daily cycle low, the same way we talked about for natural gas. So precarious situation here. The saving grace is that this thing has been declining for a long time, right? We topped out on day 7. So we're going to get a bounce at some point. It should rally for a few days. Again, in this case, we only rallied for 7 days. Maybe it's shorter this time, but you should still be able to string together a few days of higher highs and higher lows. We'll see how quickly. We'll see how soon it can do that. And for BOIL, That uber bullish level on the monthly chart is $7.97. That's what we would need to do to get to have a monthly swing low in place. That's a lot. That would be a big move up from here. But that's what you want to be aware of if this thing continues to rally. If we do get something of a bullish April, the way we tend to get for natural gas. So that is the update on natural gas. We looked at natural gas, we looked at BOIL, we looked at UNG. I guess we'll take a quick look at coal. Why not? Because that's your inverse. That's moving higher as natural gas moves lower. And if we look at the daily chart, this thing has been rallying for... So we've rallied for 24 days so far, which is nothing because look at this rally. This rally lasted 46 days. If you count to just here, that's 35 days. So no reason why this thing has to run out of steam, which is not super positive for natural gas, for UNG, for BOIL, because these are obviously inverse. But that's what you want to watch. And if we look at the monthly chart, again, you can just see opposite picture, making higher highs, holding higher lows. That's what you would expect to see as natural gas is in the long-term downtrend. So that is the update on natural gas. Precarious here. We've got a chance for a bounce because it is very late in the daily cycle, but I would just be very careful, especially the way this thing gaps. Very likely to wake up and you're down 15%. It's blown through your stop because it gapped, right? So just be really careful here, folks. But the price action is pretty clear. That's our update on natural gas. Thanks for watching.